Good morning to all of you, and please sit down. Yeah. Today we have Akanksha Jha, All India rank 371 with us. A big round of applause for Akanksha Jha. And till now you would have listened to a lot of stories, motivational stories, strategy and all. I think this would be the best because I understand that all of you want to read less. All of you want to read less number of resources. And here is one person who was working as a doctor, and her work schedule was like right from 7 a.m. in the morning till 10 p.m. in the night. And in spite of that, she was able to manage her studies and get rank 374 in a third attempt. A big round of applause for that. Yeah, because see, the thing is, you guys have entire day, right? Some of you might start from 7 in the morning and 10 in the night, you might end. So it's complete studies only. But here is a person who has been working throughout that time. So obviously you know how difficult it is to manage time. So the best thing that you would be learning from her is time management. Okay, I'll leave the stage for her. Yeah.
Hi, good morning everyone. I think sir has been too generous with his words. It was nothing like that. It's just that yes, time management I think was a big factor in my preparation, because specifically when you work as a doctor. Okay, first let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Akanksha Jha. I scored All India rank 371 this time. My optionals was medical science, and I was working as a full-time doctor in Tata Medical Center in oncology. So I mean oncology, cancer specialization, right? So sir has been too generous with his words. It's just that things were a little difficult because I know of many aspirants, some of my friends who were preparing full time. So like they had this schedule that they're getting up 7 in the morning and 2 ghanta newspaper karna hai, 3 ghanta ye padhna hai, then they will take a 10 minutes break, they'll take a 15 minutes break, they will do test writing and all that. In my case it was nothing like that. So I think sometime back sir just asked me that if you could come for the toppers talk and tell something to the students. So I told sir I'm not sure if I'm the kind of a topper they want, because I studied really less with the less time, with the less number of hours which I could put on. But then if my story helps even one aspirant, I'll be very happy with that. So tell me, how are you guys? I mean, this is the foundation batch or something? Okay. So did anybody of you give prelims this time? You just started your preparation, right? Okay, so but I look, everybody is very confident, as in everybody is like bus next attempt mein to 4 hi dalenge kuch bhi ho. Okay, so starting first, as sir told you, like I had this busy schedule, like 7 to 10 mostly I'm working. Sometimes I had to do 24-hour shifts in between. So what I have been stressing to the people which I have been interacting in the past few days, that it does not matter that how many hours you put on. You know, sometimes I don't know, I have this feeling that whenever we feel that we have too much of something, we get very complacent about things. It's like when I know that, I'm sitting, I have 24 hours. So one day before we will have this topper wala ekdam, attitude, like tomorrow morning to, I'm gonna give 16-17 hours. So we start with that mentality. Maybe 1 or 2 days we put on, and then third day we are like, bahut pad liya, this is too much. I can rest for 2 days और पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. I think Hindi is a little comfortable, or should I go with complete English? English, okay. So some of us have this habit now, like we've studied for 2 days, we've given this 15 hours, 16 hours, and third day, fourth day, we feel like, we've studied a lot. Come on, one day we can give break to ourselves. We'll watch movie, we'll do this, we'll do that. So basically, what I have realized is that it does not matter how many hours you put on for something. It is not quantity which matters, it is the quality which matters. And I feel UPSC has been testing this in the last few years, because if you analyze the past year papers, so what I felt was like 3-4 years back, the paper was pretty on a little bit of predictable line, I would say. Like you reading your basic sources, you very sincere with your current affairs, and you can be sure that if you're doing the right things at the right time, you can get into the list. But I think for the last 2-3 years, and specifically this year, what I heard from my friends was that the paper pattern, I think you must have seen, elimination is completely eliminated. So gone are those days when you have those YouTube videos, watch this video and you will get plus 30 marks, you will get plus 40 marks, and they will come with all their ideas and all. So you know what, I feel that it is very easy to do a post-mortem. I mean, once you're done with your paper and you sit at home, and then it is very easy to eliminate things and to do things, do that. But once you sit in the exam hall, that mentality is something completely different, because there's that pressure that you're sitting for your prelims exam. There's this attempt wala pressure. Then there are things like, you know, I have studied so much, I want to make my parents proud. There are some of us who know that our parents, you know, they have worked very hard, and with their hard-earned money, we are preparing for the exam, we are giving full on that. I'm sure many of us are there. Not everybody is blessed to be very financially sound, that you can sit and prepare for 3-4 years completely, leaving out everything. So there is a lot of mental burden we take on ourselves. So sitting with that mental burden right in the prelims hall is a different feeling. You will never realize it, you know, sitting in the classroom. And right, you have just started your preparation. Once you start solving papers, you will realize. So what I was, so coming back to the main point, these days, I think UPSC is trying to do the same thing. They want to see whether you know things conceptually or not. So I was just seeing the paper this year. So there was a question on something related to the President of India. So what we usually do, so we we have, I think many of us, we have this, that we read Lakshmikant. So what most of us do is that first time we read the whole thing. Okay, we'll read every point and all that. And from the next time what we do is that we'll pick and choose. Like, I'll know that which is the electoral body of the president, what is the tenure, and all that and all that. So this time I think if you see the paper, so there were questions, I think there was something related to the Arunachal Assembly and something like that. So this will only come if you're very conceptually clear about what is the whole process of the election. It's not that before the exam I'll pick up those. It is good to read compilations. I will not say that don't read compilations, because we don't have full time before prelims. I have read compilations too. But then what I really want to stress on the fact is that conceptually things should be cleared. So this time I think elimination is almost gone. Either you know it or you don't know it. It is as simple as that. So if you're not very conceptually good with your things, gone are those days that you pick up a compilation and you read things and you will, you know, I think we call it mugging up and vomiting things in the exam hall is completely gone. So my first and foremost advice to you all would be, it's okay if it takes time. Okay? So I think I met one of my cousin's friends. So there was this person, he came to me 2 weeks back. So he's also starting his UPSC ka preparation. So he was asking me how to go about with things, and he had this crazy idea in his mind that I want to do it in my first attempt. It's okay, it's very good if you have this motivation, this fire within, I want to do it in my first attempt. But please don't forget that your aim is to get into the list and to be a good officer. Your aim is never to be, you know, in the first attempt or second attempt, because every attempt has its own story, every person has its own story. It does not mean that the person who qualified in the last attempt was not as capable as the one who qualified in the first attempt. It was definitely never that. There are some people who prepare for, you know, for some 4-5 years before giving their first attempt, and there are some people who give their attempts along with their preparation. So this is one basic concept which I told him as well, that please never burden yourself with that expectation that it has to be my first attempt. No, it has to be an attempt where you've given your full on, and you are very receptive to the fact that irrespective of the thing, whether you qualify or you don't qualify, you are ready to work upon it. Like, I could not qualify my previous prelims, but it's okay. I knew I was working full time, and I think you all know what bad a situation COVID was, specifically for doctors, because we had to be there in hospitals full time. There have been days when I've not returned home from duty because I had to be in quarantine, something like that. So it's okay. I knew I did not prepare that well, but then I did not want to get into that practice that I'm filling the form, but I will not give the attempt. So, you know, once you get into that lag, it happens once, it happens twice, and there are people I know who have this habit that they are very sure till 2 months before prelims that they will give the prelims. And as prelims approaches, they are like, it's okay, I'll try next time, I'm not that prepared. So one important thing is that you will never be prepared for UPSC. Trust me when I say that. A person who's studying 16 hours a day will have the same feeling with respect to a person who's studying 4 hours a day, you will never be prepared for something like UPSC. Because I remember I just took a few leaves before my exams, but you know, this time I was sure of one thing is that I have put in my work with the little time I had. Like suppose, like sir told you, my schedule was I usually have more than 12 hours duty almost every day. Sundays I have rotation. It's that way. So what we have to do is that it is between this thing that we have to pick and find our own time. So you know, like I don't want to praise myself, but it's just that for doctors it's really difficult, because you know, you always have to be very alert, agile, and when you're working in something like a cancer setup, so you always have to be very active. You cannot expect to sit the whole day, bring your books, and you say I'm doing a job also and I'm preparing also. So unfortunately that advantage we don't have. But then there are certain things which could, you know, you can find time for yourself because you know yourself better. Like I knew that when I'm traveling, so like my hospital is around 1 hour from my home. So I knew when I'm traveling to and fro hospital, one thing which I can do every day is that I'll finish up my newspaper. Like I'll go through my newspaper, and night if I get a little time, I'll just see any of the websites. And you know, these days the thing is that we have plethora of information. Gone are those days when there was a dearth of information and you know, we had to search for things. Now the problem is that there is too much of a thing that we don't understand what to read and what not to read. And some of us have this habit that, you know, we will there's just one topic and I'll read from 6 different sources. How does it matter? President of India will be President of India according to any source. It is not like in one source you read about President of India has so and so electoral body, the next says that no, this is not the electoral body. So static and the current affairs will be the same. Maybe I think there will be plus minus things depending on the source you're reading, but then what is static, what is conceptual will always remain the same. So first, since you all have started preparation right now, so my first and foremost advice to you would be, please don't run after sources. Take your sources, stick to it, and make sure you've read that thing 3 or 4 times. So in my case, I'll tell you, I was just telling sir, I think I'm not that kind of a person, because I'm not the one who's read 10 books, who's read, you know, this website, that website, this editorial, that editorial. I have done none of these. But my only thing was that with the limited time I have, I will make full use of it. Okay? So it's like, suppose, like for polity, I read Lakshmikant. I think most of you would be doing that, and plus you have the advantage of you taking classes as well. So for you the thing should be like, whatever is taught to you in class, you go through it once, go back home, read that topic from the book which you are following, but then make sure you keep your resources limited and your divisions should be maximum. I think a lot of toppers say this, but we don't realize this fact unless and until we commit our own mistakes. We will be like, no, they just, like, how will this happen that I will read one book and I'll get everything done? Even the UPSC prelims paper these days, even if you read 20 books and you do a PhD in polity, you will not qualify. I mean, that is the reality, because they don't want, you know, somebody who's very specialized. It's like jack of all trades and master of none. So you will have to know everything. It has to be a generalist approach, because you're going into administration. You're not somebody who's going to, you know, head Google or head Microsoft and you have to be very good with AI and all that concept. So just make this very straight into your heads that my sources should be very limited, but I have to revise it multiple number of times. And the best thing is, I think everybody's preparing full-time over here. Any doctors? Anybody MBBS? Okay. How many engineers? Cool, good. And graduates, arts or science subjects? Okay, so everybody has completed their college, or are you like, there's somebody who still, you know, started preparation during graduation only? Everybody's completed college. Smart. Another smart person. Good. So please make full, you know, please utilize this time, both of you. So coming back to the thing, minimum sources, maximum division. So for me, the thing was, I had one static source for every subject. I'll read that. Plus, I will supplement it with current affairs, because current affairs is something we can never read it isolated. So like election of the president in India was in news few months back. Okay. So they will never ask in UPSC who is the president of India. Option A, B, C, D. No. Because current affairs, what do you read in newspaper? That so and so person has been elected as a president of India. This was the electoral college and will be joining office from so and so date. This is my current affairs. But then UPSC will never ask you which date did Srimati Draupadi Murmu join office. Nobody will ask you that. But then, as UPSC did this time, they went into the nuances of election process. So that is it. What I'm stressing is that my sources will be limited. I'll supplement my current affairs with my static part, so that, you know, I am doing both the things side by side. It's not that if you have a compartmentalized approach, you will take time in this preparation, and UPSC does not want a compartmentalized approach, because you see your prelims paper, you have a random shift of questions, like 10 questions, 5 questions are from this subject, then next time there is some other subject starting. So they also want you to be that adept and agile at adapting with the questions, with whatever questions come to you. So this is all about prelims. If you tell me, I'll tell you if you want to know, I'll tell you the sources, but I think it's the same. Your teachers would have told you what to study and what not to study. So that is it. And please just follow one current affairs, whichever magazine you follow, whichever you're comfortable with, follow one current affairs, and please make sure that you're reading your newspapers as well. Don't compromise on that. It's not that, I guess these days I heard from my friend that there are a lot of websites which have come up with this newspaper analysis, that they analyze certain topics. It's good, but then that should only complement it. It should not be a replacement of your newspaper, because you reading newspaper and you seeing the analysis are two different things. When you read newspaper, you analyze it yourself, but when you see analysis, somebody else is doing for you. It's good that somebody is helping you, but then that should not be your habit, because once you get into any of the services under UPSC, you will be expected to do things. You will be the person who will be responsible for guiding things. Nobody will come and tell you that, sir, it's okay, you sit down, or ma'am, it's okay, you sit down, we will do it for you. You just see it once. Nobody does that. You are expected to be on your feet, on your shoes all the time. So if you inculcate that habit from now on, so that will help. Coming with respect to mains, answer writing, Acha, how many months has been your foundation course? Like, has it started right now? Okay. So with respect to answer writing, do not start answer writing on day one if you have no idea about the subjects, because you know that will just demotivate you. You're picking up a source and you start answer writing. I mean, I didn't do that. So I am telling you the practical things which work with me, and even if it helps one of you, that will be more than happy. I'll be more than happy that, okay, somebody benefited with what I said. So whatever helped me might not be beneficial for you, because everything has a disclaimer, terms and conditions applied. So see if it helps you or not, and adapt it and mold it with respect to your own capabilities, because all of us are unique, all of us have our own stories, and all of us have our own pace of learning things. A person A cannot be compared to a person B or to a person C. We have our own background stories, our own mindset, our own everything. So please, when you sit, when you give tests, do not compare yourself to your friend or to somebody else, because you never know how he or she did that and what his or her circumstances were. Because once you try to start focus on others, you will lose focus on yourself, and it is there that you fall out of the race. As simple as that. Because if you are not focused on yourself, how will you focus on something that you are aiming for? Okay, let's come back to mains. Mains, I didn't start answer writing from day one, because I knew that I am, if I start writing something right now, I will end up with something very, stupid kind of a thing, and I'll be like, I'll have that mental backlog that I am not good enough to do answer writing. So don't do that. First, make sure you are reading something properly, and then take up your previous year questions. Your previous year questions should be like a guide. So take up your previous year question and see if you're comfortable solving that question. Like suppose I'll give you an example of you reading Modern India. Suppose when you read Modern India and you read something like the revolt of 1857, or you read about Gandhian history. So once you're done that, you give it a reading, go through your sources, whichever sources you refer, your classroom notes, or I think I followed Spectrum. So whichever sources you do, you refer. Pick up your previous year question and see if you're comfortable solving the question or not. Because prelims and mains both have different approaches. Prelims wants you to know things, but mains wants you to analyze things. because it is very practical. Once you're there on the field, you will have to be in both the shoes at the same time. You will have to know about things, and you will have to have that intellect to analyze things. So I guess if you see last year's mains paper, so mains paper has also become analytical over the years. If you go through the ethics paper, for example, the case studies are so long that you will take 2-3 minutes to read them and to inculcate and imbibe the information whatever is there. So if you don't do answer writing practice ever, and you feel that I am that super intelligent person who's going to sit in mains and going to crack it with a bang, that will never happen. That does not happen. I think it happens in movies, but who's talking about movies? Okay. So so for mains, once you're done with something, sit with it and start writing. Uske baad, after that you can start writing and see, first time it will take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but then once you start writing, you will get into that habit that I'm writing something, I'm doing something. You will start to analyze and understand things with respect to your perspective, what is wanted, because these days the mains paper, the questions are a bit lengthy. So most of the people who are not able to qualify mains, some of them have this habit that they say that we've written a lot, we've done this, we've done that, but we could not qualify mains for some reason or the other. Happens, it's okay. But then the thing is, one important thing which we should all have from the beginning is that we have to analyze the question properly. Suppose UPSC is asking what is your name, but you start giving a background history, that what is the history of your name, how your name originated, who kept your name. Why will UPSC give you marks? It is plain simple as that. Now you're talking to somebody, you ask a question, you want the answer to that question. Irrespective of the fact that how much you move around a particular thing, if you are not to the point, you will not get marks. Even if you fill up all the pages and come, trust me when I say that you will not get marks. Because when I gave this mains paper, I have scored 100 plus in all my GS papers except GS3, but then sir told me that that is also a good marks, because GS3 this time the marking was that way. Most of them have scored around between 70s to 90s, so it's okay. So the thing is, I did not finish all my pages. Like if you see my UPSC will never give my copy, by the way, but if you see my copy, it is not like 2 pages are given for I think 10 markers and 3 pages are given for 15 markers in the paper. So you will not, in most of the answers, it was not like that I've written full on, I'm writing and I've filled up that whole 2 page and I'm very satisfied. No. The thing is, I only wrote what was asked in the question. If something is asked, my main agenda will be that I will address that thing, irrespective of the fact whether I know much in details or I do not know much in details about that, but I'll make sure that I am answering the demand of the question. And I think UPSC respects that, because everybody has their own writing practice, everybody has their own writing style, their own ways of analyzing things. But then UPSC has set a syllabus and they want you to analyze that and, to be to the point. Because they don't want an officer who goes on the field and then, who's looking very confused, roaming here and there and, taking 20 suggestions and then ending up with nothing. They don't want policy makers like this in whichever field you go. So that practice starts right from mains. So your syllabus and your previous year questions should be a guide that should help you to answer questions. And please don't hesitate to answer questions, because none of us will write a perfect answer in the first attempt. In fact, even all of us who qualify UPSC, none of us write very good answers to all the questions. Because that is very evident through the marks. You can see that I think 50 to 55% is generally the marks of what the toppers get and what you need to qualify UPSC. So it is very clear that none of us is writing very good answers to all the questions. But then what we usually do is that we try to answer the demand of the question. We try to answer what UPSC has asked us. And I have seen some of my friends who were preparing doing this, that they didn't write questions with the fear of getting it evaluated by somebody who's criticizing it. It's okay, you need criticism in your preparation phase, because that is still better than not making it to the list. That is still better, because now if you are like, I'll not do answer writing, I won't show my answer to this person, I'm not doing it good. Nobody does it good in the first attempt. You also know that when you started your school life, none of you were, very good at calculus when you reached class 10, 11, 12 level. We all learnt it in schools. or whichever subject we took up, we all learned it in school gradually, day 1, day 2, day 3. None of us were expected to qualify any certain exam on day 1. We all prepared for it, and this is how we have passed our school life. We all have been very gradual with our preparation. I don't know if there's anybody who can, you know, stand up and tell me that on the day 1 of their class 10 they had completed their full syllabus, or they were very confident before their board exams. We all had this feeling that I am not prepared enough. So that is what happens with UPSC. Even if you read everything, you will always have this feeling, and it is good to have this feeling. You know, it is always better to be a little underconfident than to be overconfident, because once we are overconfident, we ruin our own chances, because, you know, we have this feeling in our head that, whoa, I think there's a saying in Hindi that, you know, मैं तो फोड़ के ही आऊँगा, मैं तो करके ही आऊँगा. That does not happen. Once you get into that feeling, you start ruining your own chances. So with mains, make sure, and one more thing is that I have seen people who usually don't do essay writings. They are like that, you know, we'll do it right in the exam hall, because I know of some people who never wrote a single essay in their life and, you know, just went to the exam hall and wrote an essay. So these days UPSC's essays also, if you see, it's very philosophical, very philosophical, and you need to analyze it properly. And please don't think that UPSC wants a very philosophical and, you know, complex writing. No, UPSC wants simple things in a very presentable form. Like, I scored 140 plus in my essay paper, which sir told me that it is one of the top marks in the country this time, which I was not aware. Like, I'm happy I did that. But then I'll tell you, if you see my paper, it was very simple. It was not like, if you read it, you will never feel like, you know, somebody can score itna marks in this essay paper, because it was very simple. I never used very complex jargons or very complex words. You do not need to be something like a William Shakespeare while writing your essays. You need to be very expressive with what you write, and it has to be simple, so that, because again, if you link it to what is expected of you as an officer, so once you make policies or you make decisions, your decisions have to be simple and something which the common public understands. You will not be dealing every time with full-on graduates, you know, who's coming with a certificate in English and you expect that person to know everything. No, you will be dealing with that common man, that common person around you. So that is what UPSC is also asking you. So please do not have that mindset that I will be writing complex jargons, I'll pick up words from novels and I'll write these big quotes and end my essay. It might fetch you a good marks, but then it is not a guarantee to fetch you a good marks. Okay. I think there was one essay topic few years back in UPSC, that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and that is what UPSC preparation is all about. The simpler you are, the more focused, the simpler you are, the better you perform. There are exceptions in every field. Like, as it says, science has its own exceptions, medicine has its own exceptions. So every field has its own exceptions. It's good, it's okay. But then the basic rule remains same for all. Okay, so that was about mains. So mains may make sure you're good with your options, take a good decision, take a wise decision, and please do not go with the trend that which paper is scoring the most in UPSC, I will take that as optional, because there is no golden rule for that. Because I think sir was just telling me some time back that how PABAT was once upon a time so very popular, and then it started, you know, falling low in the list. So there is no one-on rule that this subject will fetch me the most marks. Had it been so, UPSC would not have a list of optional subjects. It would have come up with 4 or 5 subjects and expected you to pick on that. So do your own analysis, see the previous year questions, see if you're comfortable with that. Because don't think that things will end in 1 year. This whole preparation itself is of 2 years. 1 year you prepared, and 1 year you're with the exam phase. Okay, so if you're not comfortable with your optional, you will feel very irritated and frustrated before your mains. Because before mains you want things to be sorted. So if I'm not comfortable with my optionals, like my optional was medical science. I know it's a very scientific, very technical paper, and it depends. Sometimes some years the marks is good, some years the marks is average. But then I knew very well that this is something I will be comfortable with. I cannot think of, I think very brave are those people who pick up some subjects apart from their graduation. I think it's a very brave decision, and I really respect, their abilities, that they have taken up this brave decision to take up some other subject apart from their graduation. It's good. But again, I would say, don't go with that herd mindset that I will pick up a subject which scores well. There is no golden rule that the subject will score well. It depends on how you have studied your subject. So your options should be something which you're very comfortable with, which you should always have this in mind, that this preparation may take me some time. Because there are a lot of inspirational, motivational stories. I have met a lot of toppers in various meets, felicitation meets this time, who had their own stories, and I really respect them for that. Toppers, qualifying it in their 6 attempts, 7 attempts, preparing for the last 8 years. It takes a lot of perseverance and patience to do that, and it shows your level of dedication. So somebody who thinks that this person has done this in 8 attempts is not good enough, this person is even more better, because this person has persevered, had that dedication towards one thing. It is very easy to shift your focus and flit through things. It is very easy to do that. But to be focused and dedicated to one single thing takes a lot of dedication, patience, and perseverance. So, optional should be something which you're very comfortable with. You've done your analysis, you are ready to spend your life with that optional. But then again, you should even be brave enough to take decisions when you feel that things are not favoring you, because there is no one golden approach for anything in life. This is just an exam. I think in your common life also, you don't have a one-all approach to everything in life. With your friends, you will be something else. With your best friend, you will be something else. With your parents, you will be something else. With your cousins, you will be something else. So when in our personal lives, if we have so many different approaches, why with respect to UPSC that we stick to one approach? My story is something which is my own personal story. It has been curated with my own experiences. Tomorrow when you qualify the exam, you will have your own story, you will have your own experiences, and your experiences will act as a guide for that other person who's sitting on the other side. Okay? And with respect to interview, so I scored 180 plus in my interviews this time, and my interview was mostly around, it was 60 to 70% around medical science, because I was a working professional, and I felt the board was, very interested to interact, and they were very eager to know things related to medical field. So maybe sir was just telling me that since you were a working professional, you were working, so that worked a little bit in your favor. The thing which I always thought was something to my disadvantage, because I'm not putting up something 10 hours or 12 hours of study, because in fact I went for mock interviews, and I met a lot of aspirants who were preparing full time, who had left their jobs and all. Like, I respect their decision, but everybody was like, they've left their jobs, and they are full on into this preparation that we'll get through this somehow. So I never did that. So I was just discussing with sir some time back that, sir, I always felt that it is a disadvantage to me that I am preparing also and I'm studying, I'm working also and I'm studying also. Because obviously a person who's putting up, suppose 10 hours in a day, with respect to that, I am being able to put up only 2 to 3 hours on my weekdays at max, and weekends where whenever I used to get an off, that day I used to study. So, but then sir told me this is something which helped you in your preparation, because they also want to see people who have been holistic throughout their preparation, who have their own journeys, who have their own stories. So, to sum up what I've said, I know some of you may have liked it, some of you may not have liked it. It's okay. We have all. I respect everybody's choices, because we have our own ways of receiving things, appreciating things, and perceiving things. But to sum it all, grit, patience, resilience, and perseverance is what it takes to qualify any exam in life. Not just UPSC, any exam in life, be it your own personal, be it your own personal roadblocks, be it your professional roadblocks. If you have these abilities, you will definitely be able to qualify. And one last thing, which I think I've been telling a lot of people who I've been meeting these days, do not have that mentality that I will cut off from everything in life. Because, this preparation gets lonely at times. Okay, this preparation will get lonely at times. It's just that you've started now, you will not realize it. But when you start preparing full time for this preparation, you will gradually realize that at times, you will see your friends going out for dinners, for movies, going for vacations. I know my friends calling me up randomly and saying that we're planning this, that vacation, come, we'll hang out. Sorry, I cannot come. Sorry, I cannot come was my only reply. But then that does not mean that I cut off with my friends full on. Because at times when you have that low phases in life, everybody does have it. Especially when you are in a grueling preparation like UPSC, we all will have our ups and downs. I don't think there will be a single person who will say that that person had all moments of euphoria all the time, was always, full on with that high on energy. It does not happen. We are all human beings. If it happens to a person, I think that person is extraordinary, and we are talking about ordinary people, you and me. We're not talking about extraordinary people. We're talking about common people, very common people who have done their schooling, who've done their graduation, and now have started preparing for this. Okay? So don't cut off with your friends. I'm not saying that you need to have 500 friends on Facebook. No. You need to have good friends who will realize, who will understand you. Because, I have friends who I have not spoken, who I did not speak to for the last 1 year. It was sometimes randomly in WhatsApp that we used to chat, hi, hello, if everything is fine, happy New Year, happy Diwali, happy Durga Puja. It was that way. And if somebody is posting pictures, we used to comment. Well, it was that way. We've not spoken 1 year, and I think there have been times when I have not picked up the phone calls of my friends. But your true friends will always understand you. And those who don't understand you were never with you throughout your journey. It's as simple as that. We have our own priorities. Everybody has their own priorities in life, and we are never to choose our priorities, because if you don't do it for yourself, nobody else will, because everybody comes to appreciate success. Okay? Everybody, once you qualify the exam, this happens. This is common mindset. I'm not blaming somebody else, but this is common mindset. Like, I think, for example, if you top your school exams, every single person in school will come and talk to you. Every teacher will appreciate you and tell you, I knew this person right from childhood will do something big in life. This is a common mindset. I know this is what happens. I don't think anybody will deny to this. But then the thing is, every success has its own story, and everybody will come to appreciate success. But very few people will come to appreciate your failure, to support you during your failure. Because there are many people who don't qualify this exam. Not just this exam, be it your JEE and be it your JEE examinations, or be it your NEET medical preparations. There are many, it's not that they were not good enough. They were hardworking, they were good enough. And every failure also has its own story. They have also really worked hard. But then just tell me, how many of us get to know their stories? I think these days, people have started posting their stories on Instagram, on Twitter, that we get to know about their attempts. But tell me, how many media outlets cover their story? Everybody is covering the story of the toppers, people who qualified this exam. Everybody is coming to appreciate them. But how many stories have been covered who could not make it to the list despite their hard work? So that is what I am trying to say is that please don't cut off from your family, from your friends. Keep a small, keep a small circle. It can be a semicircle. Does not mean that you need to have that full-on bada wala circle, not required. You can have a semicircle, but then you should have your close people around you, so that when you feel low in your life, there is somebody standing by you. There is somebody who's supporting you, who's respecting your decision, who is there with you. Because at times when we are low in our phase, just one word of support is enough for us. I think you all must have felt it sometime in your life, that there are times when we really feel low. We don't want anything. We don't want somebody to take us out for a vacation or a Goa trip. We want somebody who's beside us and telling us, it's okay, it happens. It's okay, it was not your day. It's okay, it happened. Theek hai, forget it. Let's work for something better. So we have to take care not only of our preparation. Everybody takes care of their preparation. Everybody tells you about your sources, what to study. What we have to take care is about our mental health. If we are not mentally, if we don't take care of our mental health, irrespective of the fact that whatever you study, how much you study, how physically active you are, you will not be able to qualify not just this exam, but any examination in life. And to do that, we always need to be associated with people, because we are human beings. We not machines that, you know, I use my iPhone today and I'll keep my phone in the cupboard 2 days because you know, I want to study 2 days without any disturbance, so I'll keep my phone in the cupboard for 2 days. We are human beings. We need somebody around us. So, you know, just take care of your circle, keep it small, but then make sure that you have good, positive people around you who are there to support you. And there will always be people who will criticize, you know, who will be very negative, because I'll tell you, when I started this preparation, so there were people like, they were all my mentors only. So there were some people who told me, what are you doing? You've studied, come on, you've done your medicine. Why are you doing this? You've studied so many years. You again have to give something to UPSC. Don't do this to yourself. It's okay. I listened what they said. ठीक है, somebody is speaking, we can, you know, stand their patience. Like you are sitting patiently, I'm speaking, you are sitting patiently and hearing what I'm saying. Irrespective of the fact whether you appreciate or not what I say, but then, you know, you're listening to what I say. So just like that, there will be people in your life. They will say things, it's okay, listen to what they say. There will be somebody, you know, who will appreciate you, that it was a very brave decision that you left your job, or, you know, you left your study, you left your core subject and you've taken up something new. And then there will be that other set who will be like, isse nahi hoga. Arey, what are you doing? No, this is not something which you can do. You have always been a very average student in school. I think there are people who tell us now, they will tell our parents that why are you wasting money on your child? This person has not done anything extraordinary in school. So it's just that. We have to be receptive to both the things. It depends on us, what I allow to enter and influence me and what I don't allow to enter and influence me. If you're influenced with everything, every comment in life, you will never succeed in anything. I'm not just talking about UPSC, even if in your personal life, if you allow a single person, if you allow every person's comments to influence you, you will never succeed. Okay, so you should be, you know, you should know what you can allow. I think there's a saying that I am responsible for my own happiness. It is, if I don't, you know, allow somebody to make me unhappy, nobody can make me unhappy. If I'm somebody who's getting influenced by every other person's decision, who's procrastinating a lot, who's overthinking a lot, I will never be able to do a single task properly. I'm not talking about studies. Leave us out UPSC. Common life also. Like suppose I get up in the morning and today I've decided that I'll study for 6 hours. I'll go down 6 hours, I'll complete my polity, I'll complete my history. I mean, not the book. 1 chapter, 2 chapter, I'll do it gradually, I'll do it slowly. This is what I've decided. Now somebody comes and hangs in between and says that you cannot do this. No, we had a plan. If you're my best friend, you have to come with me for movie today, else we are not friends anymore. Okay. Arey, mat bano friend. I don't need a friend like you. A friend who does not understand me will never be my friend. It is a simple saying as that. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to say. You are responsible for your own decisions in life. Tomorrow when you qualify, when you succeed, those friends will come back and tell you, I knew you will do something great in life. I think this happens because this has happened to me. Some of my friends, you know, randomly they came after 7-8 years and they're messaging me, we always knew you will do something big in life. I was like, thank you, it's because of you that I qualified. Else I was not sure that I'm going to do something big in life. Thank you so much. So that's what I'm saying, that be brave to take your own decisions and braver to own them up. Tomorrow, if you don't, you know, God forbid, if you don't succeed in your venture, you know, in the first attempt, second attempt, you should be brave enough to take your own responsibility, to take your own decision. I will not sit and blame somebody else for that. UPSC did this very wrong. Aise paper banta hai, this paper is so tough. How can they make such a tough paper? Because there are people who have qualified that exam. Okay? So instead of finding faults in somebody else, please find faults within you. And it is even good if somebody else points out that fault. You know, it feels bad at that time that how dare that person tell me that you're wrong with this, you're wrong with that. But then you should thank that person, because had that person not pointed out, you would not have worked to that. And you know, our sole motto is to get through this exam. We are not somebody who's going to join at the specialist level. We are all generalists, all common people who have come up with a very positive mindset into the field to prepare for this exam. And our goal should be just that. We will do things very simply. We will not make things complicated. We will be brave enough to take our own decisions and even braver enough to owe our own responsibility for the decisions I've taken. Tomorrow, like you putting the blame on your friend or on your parent that why didn't you stop me from doing this or that? you are all adults. I think everybody is 18 plus over here. Anyways, these days even teenagers are adults in their thinking, so that's a separate thing altogether. But we are all adults and we will be responsible for our own decisions. Okay. So with this, I end my talk. I know I did not discuss a lot of sources, a lot of book lists. If you want, I'll discuss that. But then I think your teachers would have said kya padna hai, kya nahi padna, and they are, you know, more, I would say, experienced in this field to discuss on what to study, what not to study. But I have shared something which is something very practical, which all of us face in our journey. Like all of us have faced in our journey, and I'm sure many of you will also face in your journey. And how to deal with them. Once you deal with your own, you know, once you deal with your own little problems, this exam will not be a hurdle. This exam itself is a test of your patience. 1 whole year, prelims, mains, interview, and one stage you don't qualify, you are thrown out and you start preparing for the next cycle. So if you don't inculcate this right from the beginning, you cannot expect to, you know, start inculcating these things when you're giving the exam. So the preparation for everything starts from now. It's not something that I'll wait when I complete the full syllabus, I'll do things. That day never happens in anybody's life. Even if you sit for 2 years, you will never complete the full syllabus, because if you see the paper, you will always feel like something you've left out. So keep your sources limited. Your division should be maximum. You should take care of your health, not just personal health, but of your mental health as well. And you should have grit, patience, resilience to, you know, survive this journey. And please remember one thing, it's just an exam. You know, some of you will be thinking, oh, she has qualified, it's very easy to say it's just an exam. But you know, this is what the reality is. Life throws tougher and bigger battles to us. It's not that people who don't qualify UPSC have done nothing in life. Bill Gates never sat for UPSC. Neither did Elon Musk aspire for UPSC. In fact, he will be surprised to know that there is an exam like UPSC and people, you know, so many people prepared for that. So what I want to say is that it's just an exam. Take it as an exam. The moment you start taking it as your life, you will have problems. Okay? So with that, I wish you all the best, and I hope to see some of you in Toppers Talk next time to get to see, you know, YouTube videos that you also have qualified and all that. So best of luck and take care of yourselves. Thank you. Yes, please. If you have anything to ask, you are free to ask. Please. Maki, I think everybody else has understood. Very brilliant people. No questions. Thank you. Just tell me your name, your optionals. Okay. Okay, how was it? But it's good now, you at least had an experience. Hai na? Ha, please ask. Okay, so I'll tell you. With the limited, like I told you, with the limited time I had, I never had that luxury of time that I'll, you know, study everything. I'll read this magazine, I read that magazine, I read this journal, I read that journal. No, nothing. So, like I told you, one target which was very set was that I will read newspaper every day. I'll cover my newspaper every day, because I remember some of my consultants, it's just that the department that I was working with, they were always very supportive. So, you know, if any day I'm missing out my newspaper, my consultant would be, what has happened, where is your newspaper today? Because I was always carrying 1 or 2 newspapers in my bag. Things to prioritize which I did, which worked for me. Disclaimer, terms and conditions apply, may not work for you. Next time, don't say that she came and she said this, it did not work for us. I'm putting all blames of my failure on her. I'm not going to take that. But yes, so things which worked for me, newspaper, current affairs. I'll make sure, like I'm not saying that, see, these days I think there are many websites which have these daily current affairs initiatives. I think you people will know better than me. Pick up one particular source and your newspaper. You don't have to, you know, learn, you don't have to mug it up that day. What you have to do is, I've read my newspaper, I'll read the current affairs and I'll see what, you know, what extra it added to the newspaper thing. Like how I have to go about with the newspaper. Because when we start our preparation, we really don't understand that what we have to read from our newspaper, what to read, how much notes to prepare, how much notes not to prepare. So my thing was, I'll do my newspaper, I'll do my current affairs, and if you feel that there is some topic you didn't understand, you have this opportunity that you can always come back to your faculty and ask. Or these days there are a lot of YouTube sites also. I think this is a big advantage, and this has boomed up after the COVID thing when the lockdown started. There are a lot of free initiatives on YouTube, you can do that. So for weekdays, I'm doing my current affairs, I'm doing my newspapers. Weekends, usually one day I used to get off, full on off. So that day my thing would be like, suppose week 1, what I will do that this week I'll pick up 3 topics from polity. I was never that person that who can read one subject the whole single day. For some people it works, for me it was a monotonous thing. I cannot imagine to sit 16 hours with a book of polity. No. So what I would do was that, okay, 2 hours I would read polity. Then I'll take a break in between. Maximum I used to read 2 subjects a day. And beach mein I used to pick up previous year question. Suppose like I have read 3 topics from polity. I completed president, vice president, and I completed the parliament. Now I'll pick up the previous year question and I'll see that how do they ask questions. Because first time when we prepare, we have to get an idea about things, that what does UPSC want. It is not kaun banega crorepati. 4 options are given, who was this, who was that, it's not that. So I'll do that. I'm done with my week 1 wala thing. Next week, and one more thing which I used to do was that you will see that every day there is not something new in newspaper. There is one news which gets continued over a period of time. I think you must have realized, and you have given your preparation, you must have realized that every day every new thing will not happen. Okay, Pakistan, we always had problems with Pakistan. So it's not that today morning you got up and you saw India is having problem with Pakistan, tomorrow morning you saw that Pakistan is distributing free biryani packets to us. The news remains the same. I'm just giving an example. Okay. So I would see that which topic has a lot been in news this week. So I would make sure that I would see that what is the static thing behind that topic. So I would read that up. So with my preparation phase, this is what my strategy would be. That I will pick up 2 subjects in weekend, I'll read them up, I'll do my newspaper and my current affairs daily, but I'll make sure that I'm solving questions as well. Once you gradually keep doing it, it gets imbibed in you. And initially 1 or 2 months it is a problem because you don't understand. Like I didn't understand that what I'm doing, if it is right, if it is wrong. But once you start solving previous year question and you see that you are being able to solve, it means that you are fulfilling what UPSC wants. Like you are walking in that direction. It may not end into your destined destination, but then you are walking in that direction. So that is how my study schedule would be. Science and technology, I would specifically say that I never followed any particular source because 11-12 my graduation subject was with science and I had all PCMB, physics, chemistry, maths, biology, because I was from ICSE board. And I did my medical science. So science luckily was never much of a problem for me. So for science and technology, for example, I used to only follow the newspaper thing, and I think before the prelims there are a lot of institutes which come up with their yearly compilation. So I just used to flip through the topics. If there is something which is new to me, which I did not come across newspaper or which I could not recall, I will read that before my exams. But then one thing which I really did in my last attempt was that I made sure that before the prelims I am done with 2 proper divisions. I mean, it sounds a little weird, but I made sure that I'm done with my 2 proper divisions, though I had less time. But just imagine now, if you're repeating one particular habit for your 10-11 months, you will obviously revise that particular thing. Suppose I read about the president in the month of July. Again, when I repeat my cycle, maybe sometime late, but maybe in the month of December, I will again come across the president of India. And if the president is in news, I will definitely come across that. So my funda was very clear. I knew I had less time, and it is not a compulsion that I was doing my job. It was never a compulsion because my parents were always very supportive and they told me it is up to you how you want to prepare. It's just that I love my work. I still love my work and I always loved working in hospital. So I knew this was my own decision to prepare along with this, so I cannot sit and complain that why did I do this? It did not work out in my favor because nobody forced me. It was my decision. So accordingly, I had planned things. I knew for me it will take a little bit of time, because I did not want to miss out on the lovely experience I get in hospital every day with a rich variety of cases, nor did I want to lose out on this. So I think that helped to maintain a balance, because I was never completely cut off from my social life, and never completely into my social life. I knew how to draw a boundary in between. So the thing is, prioritize and focus on what is there, because I think if you cover your current affairs every month along with your static thing, most of your syllabus is prepared. And if you see the question papers, you will see that it is not something UPSC asks something out of the box. It has been in news some way or the other. It depends on us how we link things with my static and with my current. So my focus was always very clear, agenda was clear. I'll link my static and current, I'll take it both side by side, and something which is allotted news, I'll make sure that I'm reading it up that weekend. At least, even if I don't get time, I'll, somehow, I will, take out some time in between, read that topic up, pick up the questions from that topic. And these days, I think it's very easy to find those, those uniform compilations. Like there's a particular topic and all the, I think all the questions of the different years are compiled. So I'll pick that up and I'll see. Even if after that, if I have problems, I always had YouTube to help me out with that. So that worked out with me. Optionals was not a problem, because optionals, since I was going to hospital every day, so most of the days, like I would say paper 2 specifically, it is a little bit of practical oriented. So I was seeing things always on ground, and I knew how I was tackling every case. So I knew I will be able to handle my clinical case scenarios easily. So somehow my job helped me with my preparation also, because I was always in touch with what is the latest advancement in the medical field. And personality test, so it is your personality. I don't think you can make or break your personality. You can fake it to some extent, but you can never fake in that 30-35 minutes you're sitting in the board, because there are 5 different members, and they are very experienced. They have been taking a lot of interviews, and they have been taking interviews every year, not just for UPSC but of different services. So if you try and show that you vary that that outspoken, super smart person who's always been very smart in front of your relatives, your cousins and friends, and you will be able to do the same thing in front of the board, I'm very sorry, that does not happen. They will very sweetly smile. They will never scold you. They will never tell you that you've done something wrong. But when you get your marks, you will realize that they understood everything that you were lying. Okay? So don't do that to yourself. Be honest. Be simple, because that is they want. Like imagine if you go for your field work and a common person comes to you and you sit with your fancy degrees and you start explaining, like suppose a person comes with you with a problem of water in his area, and you are this person who has this fancy degrees, has studied from an A grade college, and starts explaining climate change to that person, the ground level water depletion, and how it is affecting not just your district but it is affecting all across India. He does not care. He is bothered with himself. You want to help him out. You give him all the knowledge, what the United Nations comes up with papers, and we have all those things that the temperature is increasing. You tell that person, Paris, something about Paris climate deal. It is happening to all across the world. So go back and adjust with what is happening. He will never take that. So it's just that. You have to, I think everybody of us know our strengths and weaknesses. There are certain subjects which I knew I'm not comfortable with. Like for example, economics. Economics was it was never my optional subject in school also, because I always, I think I took computers and I didn't take up economics. So economics was never my subject in school, and medical science is never about economics. So I knew I am not very comfortable with economics. So what I did for economics was that I picked up the syllabus, I picked up the NCERT book, because NCERT acts as a guide. You have the topics and you know what UPSC wants to know from you. So I picked that up, I read it. If I understood, it was well and good. If I didn't understand, there are a lot of online videos these days. You see them, you solve questions, and I mean, this is very surprising, but in all the prelims I have given, I have scored the highest in the economics section only whenever I did my analysis, though economics was never my strength. So that's what I'm trying to say, that we all have our own strengths and weaknesses. It is, if we don't understand it, nobody else will help us do that. Okay? Because coming to a class, coming to a coaching does not guarantee that all of you will qualify. It all depends on how well you utilize it. Your teachers are there to help everybody of you. It depends on how you utilize it in your favor. That helps you out. So see your strengths, see your weaknesses, and then plan your own strategy. This worked for me. This may not work for you. This may work for you. It depends on how you mold it according to your own situation. Like for a person who's studying 10 hours a day, if I try to start to inculcate that in my routine and start feeling bad every other week that shit, I could not give 10 hours, I could not give 12 hours, I will get into that demotivating cycle of preparation, and that will not help me anyways. I know what I have chosen for myself, and I will devise my own strategy accordingly. Your strategy might be difficult from your strategy may be different from your strategy. It may be different from her strategy, but that does not mean that your strategy is wrong. And please do not, every day, don't try to change your strategies, because I know of some people who change their strategies every day. You have to give it some time. See if it works. Everything takes a little time to work. Even if you have a medicine for a problem, it will not work in 2 minutes. It takes some time. So see, only if you see that if it is not working in any way, then again reflect upon it and then change it. Don't wake up every morning and say that kal ka strategy was wrong, today I will do something new. That day, every day you will do 365 days, you will do something new, and in the paper you will come up with something new and you will never qualify the exam. As simple as that. So don't do that. I hope you have any further questions, like mock interviews. People are asking me questions 2 times, 3 times, and like any other doubts. It's okay. Okay. Please tell me. I'll tell you. Disclaimer. I am not that person who started answer writing from day one. Okay. So what I did was that since I had limited time, so what I used to do was 1 month I'm reading a particular topic. And I think 1 month is enough to read up a particular subject, even if you read it at a very slow pace. You read it very you read it very slowly, gradually. I think 1 month was enough for me. So what I used to do was, suppose 1 month I finished my modern history. So next month, instead of starting a new subject, one day I will pick up my previous year questions. I'll pick up my previous year question. I would not lie. I won't say that I wrote a very, I prepared a guideline and a framework for all answers. I didn't have that time. There are people who do it, and I really respect them for the time and patience and efforts they put. I didn't have that option. So I won't say that I wrote answers to every question. Certain questions which I found it were a little analytical. Like you will see there are certain questions which are very straightforward comment. Comment means you are supposed to comment on that. So I used to see those comment questions. One comment question I'll pick up and write. Done with that, I'll pick up one analytical wala question, like critically analyze. I'll pick up 1 or 2 questions, and I always used to give more times to those analytical questions, because my analysis will always be different from your analysis. But then it cannot be completely North Pole and South Pole. There will be some place where we both will agree on something. So I used to do that answer writing, and initially I used to evaluate my answers myself. Okay, like I think you have these model answer kind of things. You get it online also, and thankfully there are a lot of websites which help us download them also. So I used to see them. Initially I used to analyze that, but yes, before the mains I took up test series of some XYZ coaching. I attempted the tests, and I used to work on the feedback. It's not that because I didn't have time, to sit and reflect on every single thing, and to sit and cry on things that shit, I did not do this, because when I gave the test series, I'll tell you. Essay only, I'll tell you example. When I wrote my first essay, I think I scored a 90 in my mock test. And there were a lot of feedbacks which was given. So what I did was I tried to read them, and I tried to see that how I can inculcate it into my essay. First essay mock done. Second mock after 2 weeks. Second mock it reached till 100. So I knew, okay, there is something which I have inculcated in my essay, and it has worked to some extent. Okay. And the final mock of essay which I gave, I think I scored only 115. But that does not mean that I did not, you can never, because this is a reality that the test series we give, they are a little strict in their checking, because it is very obvious. If in mock test, if they give us out of 250, they give us 200 in essay, we will always be very complacent that I am this super genius who's born after Shakespeare who can write on any topic. That is a common human nature. If there is a person who's praising you about a particular thing, you will always think that you are the best at it. So that is the thing. So before my mains exam, I took up a test series of XYZ coaching. I wrote all the tests and tried to inculcate them. I did not get time, so I generally used to write my tests on the weekends. And I had some leaves pending, so I took some leaves also in between. I won't lie that I am the super genius person who didn't take any leaves and just went and wrote the mains exam. I'm a very common person who had own set of limitations. It's just that I was always very open about my limitations, and I knew how I can work upon them. So it's just that. And for optionals, I'll tell you, medical science, I don't think there are a lot of there is not a lot of option in the market, because I tried to explore, but I didn't find a lot of options. So what I did was that I had done that previously only. I had seen all the previous year questions, so I knew what kind of questions they want. So what I would do was that I would write answers to the previous year questions, especially the clinical ones, because the first paper is a little static, so you can just memorize and you can tackle at least some portion of the paper with that. The second paper is more on the analytical part. It deals with your clinical case applications. So I used to write answers on that, and I used to go to hospital and I used to get it checked by my consultants, because they are consultants, so they have plethora and a rich experience of knowledge, and they were always very accustomed to what is new in this field. So I used to get it checked by my consultants. And luckily, since I was working in a multi-speciality hospital, so I had specialists of every subject. So that was not much of a problem for me. So it does not make much of a difference whether I gave test series or not in case of optionals, because I knew my writing speed was getting adjusted with respect to my mains. Since if you have good options in the market for your optionals, it is always good to take a test series and see if you're comfortable with that or not. I had my limitations, but then I worked upon them. So I think that helped. Somehow it helped. That's it. Any other question? Anybody else? Thank you. Okay.
I had a lot of problems with this.
Okay. Anybody has today's newspaper? Hi, don't tell me nobody brought her newspaper. Thank you. I got it. Okay, the Hindu. Good. Like for example, I'll tell you, I opened today's newspaper. When I'm going to hospital, I opened today's newspaper. Initially, I used to flip through all the pages just to see what is in news. It is not that I'm sitting with one single page throughout. No, I used to flip through all the pages. Then, wait, I'll tell you. Like see, for example, you should know what is going to help you, like what you need to study for the newspaper, what you don't need to study. Because there are a lot of people, we like to read the masala news. I mean, it's common, it is human nature. We always like to read that sensational masala news which is in town, so that we don't have FOMO. Okay, human nature, nobody's to blame for that. But then I know I have to, like suppose I'll tell you, for example, bodies of 3 boys recovered from lake. Very sad story, very sad incident, but then it will not help me for my preparation, for example. So initially I have to filter out what I know from what I need to read from my newspaper, what I don't need to read. Okay? So wait. See, there is a news on page 10. Net direct tax collection rises 11.2% to 3.8 lakh crores, says Finance Ministry. This is my news, for example. I'm not that expert in economy, so anybody has economics optionals may very well criticize me, but then it's okay, you're open with that. So suppose this is my news for the day. Now, how will I study it with respect to my UPSC preparation? UPSC will never ask me in options. Like, what was the next net tax collection for this month? Option A, option B, option C, option D, no. But then what I need to know from this is what is a direct tax, what is an indirect tax. First thing, what are the components of direct tax, what are the components of indirect tax? Second thing, what is a net tax collection, what is a gross tax collection? You know, these are certain nitty-gritties which when we read a newspaper it looks very receptive and very open, but then it is not that. And then I have to know that what is special in this news, that it has risen 11.2% to 3.8 lakh crores. So what? Why is it in news? Why was it in news? Why not? So like I'm giving you an example, so that when I analyze a particular topic, I should be very clear about it, how, what and why. Unless and until I don't know about that particular thing, it is useless to read the newspaper. So like for your question, what worked for me, I'll tell you. Reading the newspaper, and I never did, as I told in the beginning also, I never did it isolated. It's not that I'm done with my newspaper today, I'll close it and I'll keep it in that, you know, that garbage wala portion that I'm done for the newspaper. Yes, I did it and I'll keep it aside. No. Some people are not comfortable directly reading newspapers. I told you there are a lot of, and I think there are a lot of free initiatives that analysis of the newspaper. You could go through that, you know, to supplement your own understanding, or there are many websites which have their own, you know, I came to know there are very daily free initiatives of news and all daily current affairs. You read that. When you do this both side by side, initially you may not realize that it is making a difference to your preparation. But later on, I think after 1 month or 2 months, you will realize that if you do it very regularly and sincerely on a basis, you will be able to get a grasp of things. If you follow this, and you know, you do your and one more thing, please don't pick up many current affairs questions. You know, I'll do multiple sources of current affairs questions. It does not go that way. UPSC has a very standard of asking questions, because in market we get a lot of different sources, and it is okay. There's a lot of competition in market, so everybody will try to make their source very attractive. That is very okay with them. But for me, I should know my parameter of judgment should be UPSC and nothing else. Okay? So I think if you do that, if you do it this way and just follow one source, initially you can, you know, you can read 3-4 sources, see, pick your own source which helps you and go with that. And you know, don't change your sources too frequently. Like today you see that your friend has scored more in a particular test, and then you know, second day you feel that no, that source was better, so I'll shift my source. It's okay. One day Sachin Tendulkar can score 100 does not mean that Sachin Tendulkar is a bad batsman if he does not score 100 every day. It's that way. So you have to be a little consistent with your sources, and you have to, you know, try to find the linkage between your current and static. I think that should help. I mean, that helped me. Any more questions? I can see a expression of doubt on your face. Please continue. See, I'm a doctor, professional hazard, can't help it. Thank you. Tell me, please. Huh. I'll tell you. Daily wala thing I used to do, but you know, one thing is that when you do something daily and you pick up any compilation of a monthly compilation, things will be the same. I mean, like for example, if the finance ministry has said that this is the direct tax collection, it will not be different for A coaching, it will not be different for B coaching. Maybe their fonts will be different, their paragraphs will be different, the colors will be very attractive, but the news remains the same. So what I used to do was, like I'll tell you, I did not do it for every month, because some months I did not get time, to be very honest. But then the ideal thing would be, like every month, once I'm done with this regular daily wala thing, I will pick up one monthly compilation and I'll read it. I'll just read it. It may take me 2 days, it may take me 3 days. It's okay. We all have our own pace of reading. We will do that. And if there is something which we missed out, that will be covered in that. And you know, trust me, if you do it regularly and sincerely, it does produce results. I think if you try that, that will help. Satisfied? Any more questions? Please feel free to ask. It's okay. Test of current affairs, I'll tell you. To be honest, I did not give too many tests. Like I never took up any particular, any particular material and I'm only solving questions of current affairs. I never did that. I used to pick up any, I think there are a lot of websites which give you free tests, and there are a lot of shops where you get those, test compilations booklets. So I used to pick up 1 or 2 and then I used to solve that, and you will see that when you solve a test for a particular month, the current affairs for that month is inculcated in that. I mean, I've seen for 2-3 materials of different coachings that 10-15 questions would be asked from that current affairs. And anyways, if you see your prelims paper, not 100% paper is on current affairs. It always has a linkage. You can never say, had it been on current affairs, UPSC ka prelim syllabus would only have 1 line. Please read the current affairs for the whole year. They would never have come up with different books. So if we only, the thing is, the mistake which we make is that we always hinge our preparation on one pillar or the other. It does not work that way. Like I will have to be balanced with everything. I need to know a little bit of polity, I need to know a little bit of geography, a little bit of history, a little bit of everything. I do not need to do a PhD in history. They don't want a PhD person, they want a person who knows everything. And current affairs, any paper you, don't go for a coaching paper, I would say. Any UPSC paper you pick up, I don't think there is any paper which will have 50% of current affairs. And one more thing is that a myth or a wrong notion is that I have to answer everything in prelims. I don't have to do that. There is a decent cutoff, I just have to clear the cutoff. It is not your engineering or medical entrance that your prelims exam marks is calculated in the final list. It's not that. I just have to, make sure that I am above the cutoff. And with a little bit of preparation, sincerely if we do, even if we fail once or twice, we will definitely succeed. I mean, this is what I have seen. And I personally think that happens. It's just that we have to be a little patient and persistent with our preparation. Finally, now I can see the smile. It is okay then, okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Finally, some girl has spoken. Please, ma'am, please stand up. I'll tell you. Firstly, I told you, ideally, I should not have given that attempt. If I sit and introspect, and it is a human nature. Today, when we sit and introspect, half of the life we think that we could have done this, we could have done that. But had we knew all of that, we would have been gods and not human beings, firstly. So I knew in my initial attempts, I was not that prepared. I was very well aware of that. But it's just that I did not want it to be a habit, that I'm filling up my prelims, I'm filling up my application form, and I am skipping my exam just because I'm prepared. I did not want to make it a habit. So I knew it, I'll go and I'll give the exam. Even if I fail, that will be, that will be a slap on my face. That you are brilliant, you were brilliant in school, you were brilliant in college, does not mean that you will clear the exam. So everybody of us at some point or in life need a slap on our faces, to get that ground reality. And I think UPSC is that perfect exam which gives you a good tight slap on your face, that even if you're an IIT graduate, does not mean that you will come and clear the exam. As simple as that. Plain what I'm saying, what I've seen, I'm telling you. So firstly, I always knew that maybe I will not be able to qualify your attempt. But then I was like, okay, I'll go and give the attempt, because I want to see that even if with a little preparation I have, how much do I score? And to my surprise, it was never, I would say that it was always with a huge margin. It was always with a little bit of, single digit number that I never, I failed my previous attempt. So I knew that there is something which is going in the right direction. All I have to do is that I have to change it to everything in the right direction, from some to every. Okay. So I came back from the paper. One thing which I never used to do was I never used to come and match the answer keys with the coaching ka paper, because I knew 2 weeks is there, let us enjoy and have that feeling I've given the prelims exam. Because anyways, when the result come out, I will be sad for 1 day. Every of us will be sad for 1 day. So no point ruining our 2 weeks of mental health and going into the sadness wala thing. It may be wrong, but then that is what I followed, and I think it was okay for me. I was never like, I'm coming back and I will open up the website and 3-4 coaching answer keys come out and I start checking the questions. I always value my mental health, so I never did that. Once the result is out, okay, I failed. So I always knew I'm going to fail this attempt. It's okay, it is our human nature. I will feel sad. if I don't feel sad, then I'm mad. So I'm not going, I'm not doing that. So, you know, I will feel a little bit of, I felt sad for, I think, 1 or 2 days. And then it was about sitting back with the paper and analyzing what could have gone wrong in my questions. What are the questions which I should not have attempted, but I attempted? And why did I attempt that in the exam? You know, because the mindset in exam is very different compared to when you come back home and sit with the paper. It will always happen. When you leave the exam hall, you will be like, shit, I knew this answer. Oh, this was so easy. Why did I do this in the exam hall? It is very obvious. Common. I think you have given your prelims, you would know. It is very common. When we leave the exam hall, we feel that we could have cleared it, but we could not clear it. Introspection and analyzing what went wrong and what could have gone right, which are the areas which I could have worked upon, which are the areas I need to work upon. So I used to do my analysis properly in the last attempt which I gave. Last attempt was like, I was very sure that this time there are more things which I have done in the right direction, but that does not mean that I was sure that I will qualify the prelims exam, to be honest. But I knew that this time I have put in a little bit of more hard work, a little bit of more right work in the right direction. So, you know, the important thing is that we always have to be, if we don't introspect and if we don't analyze, you can't expect some other person to do it for you. You know, your friend can just give you an input. Your mentor can just give you an input. But you know yourself through and through. First thing. You are introspecting and analyzing your things. Secondly, never let that feeling come within you that you're good for nothing. If you fail 2 attempts, 3 attempts, 4 attempts, 5 attempts, you can do nothing in life. That thing should always be taken out of your head. Third thing, never compare your journey to your friend's journey. My friend cleared it in 1 attempt and, you know, I'm sitting for 2 attempts and doing nothing. You never saw how your friend prepared. You were with your friend only for a limited number of time. How do you know what did your friend do at home? Okay. So never compare your journey to somebody else's journey. Third thing. And fourth thing, as I told you, simplicity, simplicity and simplicity. My previous year questions, my syllabus will act as a guide. And I will form my own strategy. I may take XYZ inputs from somebody, but then I have to see if that works for me or not. Somebody might study at night. Somebody feels comfortable getting up in the morning. But it does not mean that everybody who gets up in the morning will qualify the exam, and everybody who studies at night will, you know, flunk this exam. That does not happen. So I think these a little bit of XYZ analysis, maybe that helped. Thank you. Anyways, thank you so much. It was nice interacting with you all, and best of luck. Take care. And I am hopeful, and I hope all of you, you know, get whatever you desire in life. Thank you.